yours. I gotta get mine. Yeah, you gotta get yours. I gotta get mine. I gotta get yours. I gotta get mine. You gotta get yours. What's up, everybody? We are back. We are back. We are back. It is Jasir Makajula, founder of Heal PTHD, post-traumatic hood disorders. We're gonna wait a few minutes, build this thing up a little bit. But welcome into Reset Sundays. Welcome to Reset Sundays. If you wonder why I'm playing this song, you will learn a little bit more about it as I go into today's session of Reset Sunday. But you're not tight. I'm gonna realize I'm straight out to get mine. I gotta get mine. You gotta get yours. 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 Yeah. You gotta get mine. You gotta get yours. I gotta get mine. You gotta get yours. I gotta get mine. Get yours. Money on my mind. Finger on my trigger, nigga, hand on my line, smoking blunts and stuff, making holes to pumps and on the underground funk, pumping out of my trunk. Live a life of a hustler, high till I die. Meeting bitches, getting bitches, miss me with lies. Picture me living out my life like a boss. I rock a pump on the shot for my Glock and blast. Let's go, y'all. We starting this thing anyway. Let's roll. Latecomers come in when they come in. We're gonna do this thing and get on up out of here. Again, welcome to Reset Sundays. I am Jasir, founder of Heal PTHD or healpthd.com. And I want to welcome you into what we call Reset Sundays. Reset Sundays is where we come in and discuss topics to help us reset our mindsets around that topic so that we can make the changes and heal PTHD within us. I don't have any announcements this week that I want to do just yet, but I will just save space for that later on, I guess, right? So let's jump right into today's topic. All right, today's topic for Reset Sundays is crabs in a barrel versus a cooperative mindset. Crabs in a barrel versus a cooperative mindset. And once again, this is presented by Heal PTHD. All right. Now, we've all heard this before, crabs in a barrel concept, right? We've all heard it. It's often used to describe people who pull each other down whenever someone rises to the top. Nipsey Hussle was a good example of that. The man made it out the hood, and the very hood took him back down into the grave. So yeah, we've heard this multiple times before. And today we're going to talk about what that looks like and why that's even there. All right. And how we overcome it, more importantly. All right. So, but what if that's only half the story, right? What if the real issue isn't that people naturally want to hold each other back? What if they've simply never been taught any other way? Again, going back to Nipsey Hussle, I'm not picking on Nipsey. I love Nipsey. The latter part of his career, when he was making the victory lap, I love that part of his career. But when you grow up in the hood, like the hood, or you are from a neighborhood, like you're taught these things, like envy, jealousy, wickedness, even. These things are a part of the crab in the barrel concept. These things have to exist for a crab to want to pull you back down, right? So most of them are never really taught any other way other than that when you come in that environment, if that makes any sense. Many of us were raised in environments where resources were felt to be scarce, opportunities were limited, and survival was the priority. If you don't have much, when you get something, you're gonna want to protect it. and guard it. Most people will, right? So imagine growing up in a scarce environment where there's not a lot of jobs. The only thing that they really have, they see that they can make it out of a situation is maybe gangs, drugs, all the negative stuff, which is not true, but it, how it's presented is like that. It's like that. When you grow up believing there's only one seat at the table, another person's success can feel like your loss. Again, my brother Nip. And that was his big mistake, coming back and thinking that because he was doing good work in the neighborhood, he can just be there. And it's sad to say that that's not the case. Um, that shouldn't have been the move. And people around him should have told him differently. I should have tried to make him see it, try to get him to see it differently. But when you grow up in that neighborhood and that type of stuff, you want to go back and you want to make sure you can touch your own people, but that's not always a wise idea. Like I said, when you grow up believing there's only one seat at the table, another person's success can feel like your loss. That isn't always jealousy. Sometimes it's a survival programming that we have when we grow up in the neighborhood. It's a mindset developed in environments where people were taught to compete for what little availability instead of cooperating to create something greater. I know that y'all understand what I'm saying. I know that y'all have seen what I'm saying. And I know that you guys have tasted what I'm saying. If you're a business owner, people come into your business and they don't want to support because you look like them, but they'll go support other people's businesses. Easy. And they also go support other people's businesses with no gripe on the price. They don't care what it costs. They walk in there, pull their wallet out and drop dollars on it as is. But when you look like the man in the mirror in the same bucket of crabs, they want to Jew you down and act like as if your prices are too much and you don't qualify for them to pay you for what you're asking for. I've been in business for myself for a long time. I remember I started my business called California Ticketmasters back in 2009, where I came back to the community to help people in the community deal with traffic tickets. Because back then it was a really big thing. Like people were getting warrants, going to jail, and license being suspended. It was a really big thing, and the tickets were astronomical. The prices of the tickets were astronomical. So I came back and I put California Ticketmasters right on Crenshaw and Exposition. Right on Crenshaw and Rodeo, actually, what is now called Obama. And I've been sued 3 times in that process of that business, all by my own people who I basically did the work for. They just wanted the money back, so they thought they can go sue me and get it back. But see, I'm smarter than that. I know how this works. I make everybody sign contracts. So when we went to court, all I'd have to do is show the judge a contract and they threw it out. But more importantly, the concept of messing with me, and I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to give you something that you don't have and nobody around here has to help you with an issue that's very real back then, I must add, because like I said, cars were getting towed and people going to jail, license suspended, warrants for your arrest, all kinds of stuff was going on just for a simple traffic ticket. But I helped a lot of people out in that process. And there were some people who were very gracious, and I appreciate them. But I'm only bringing up these lawsuits because why would you sue a person who's trying to help you? It only takes one person to try to bring you down. That's all you really need. Only one person took Nipsey out physically, right? The programming we inherited. I want to talk about this a little bit. Part of that programming came through the music we love. Hip hop became the classroom for many of us. We heard MC Breed as I was playing that song earlier, right? That's why I was playing that song earlier. You need to hear it again? Well, here it go. I was playing this song earlier. We hear all this stuff every day of our lives when we grow up in the ghetto because the hood is where that music came from. But it didn't come from a bad place. it became something that had left a bad stain in our community and the brains of the people in our community. That is. So, with that being said, hip hop became the classroom for many of us. We heard MC Breeze say, "I gotta get mine, you gotta get yours." We heard Snoop Dogg say, "The game is to be sold, not told." I forgot the name of the song that was on, but it was. I remember hearing that on one of his songs. For young people raised in the neighborhood where opportunities was limited, those ideas made sense because you had to go get yours any way possible, by any way means possible. They reflected a world where trust was scarce, resources were few, and protecting knowledge felt like protecting your survival. In other words, protecting what you learn instead of giving it and passing it on to somebody else, that's a part of your survival. You need to use that to survive. So why would you give that to somebody else? Because they may impede on your survival, which is not real. I'm with the Dame Dash theory. The Dame Dash theory says, if we all eating, ain't nobody coming to rob me. But if I'm the only one eating, eventually their guns are going to be pointed at me and coming to get mine. So we should all be sharing information instead of hoarding information, because again, if everybody around you is eating, if the city is doing well and everybody's got jobs and there's low percentages of poverty or homelessness or anything or joblessness, if the city's doing well, guess what? The crime rates are going to go down. So if we can come back and share information that we have with the communities that we come from, maybe that's an answer to how we cure the communities that we come from. What happens when survival programming flows into your adulthood, though? Like, you grow up in these environments, what happens when you become an adult? Does it follow you? Or do you just turn the switch off and do something different? What happens when you leave the neighborhood you came from, but the neighborhood never leaves your mindset? Y'all heard that phrase before. I think Mac 10 made a song about that. You can take the boy out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the home, boy. Y'all remember that song in the 90s? What happens when you leave the hood and go get you a good job, go get your degree, go to college, graduate, go find you a house in Windsor Hills, in the blackest area you can live well in LA, one of the blackest areas you can live well in LA, and get the picket fence, the dog, the spouse, all that stuff. And then what happens? Does that information that you learned in the hood go away? Watch this. Did you take what you learned and came back in to the neighborhood to share what you learned with other people? Or did you just hoard it, move up to the hill, and live your life? I mean, that's your option. I'm gonna keep it real. That's your opportunity. I get it. Everybody has an option that they get to exercise. No one's bound to do such a thing. Like, everybody talks about Michael Jordan, right? He's so rich, but they say he rarely gets involved in any community stuff. I mean, again, that's why people like LeBron James so much, because he's seen to be involved in more community-based issues. But at the same time, it's not, I wouldn't say that I blame Michael Jordan, because everybody's plight is not that. But should he do that? Absolutely. He has the resources. That's one thing I applaud LeBron James for, is that he does get involved in certain things and he is vocal about some stuff. And he doesn't have to be, and he is. And I appreciate that. But what about you? What about you with the degrees and the six-figure jobs, careers? And are you coming back and giving to the community, going to the schools, helping the kids, going to career day, doing something to give these kids motivation to say, hey, you can do this too? And even host classes and try to teach people how to do certain things that you had to go through. Share your wisdom. If everyone is only trying to get mine, then who builds ours? When do we get ours collectively? If knowledge is never shared, who develops the next generation? It's one thing to look at these kids today and talk about what they're doing so bad, which is a lot going on. But if they don't have the information, just like I said in the beginning, if they don't have the information, what do you expect them to do? That is the purpose of an elder: guide, direct, and help the youth through life struggles, pitfalls, and failures. That's from one of my songs called The Jury Box. The purpose of an elder is guide, direct, and help the youth through life struggles, pitfalls, and failures. That's our job as elders. So as elders, we go through life and gather all these experiences: financial experiences, romantic experiences, relational experiences, uh, education, all this type of stuff. We're supposed to come back and give this back to the community. It's not for us technically solely. Yes, we needed it for our lives, but it's not just for you. It's for the other people who don't have it. We get it and then look back at the people who don't have it like they're the problem, when you weren't always so educated in those areas yourself, especially if you came from the hood. You happen to be lucky enough to get some information from somewhere that led you down that path to take you on the trajectory that you're currently on. If every business owner sees another business owner as competition instead of a collaboration, who strengthens the community, y'all? This is what Hill PTHD calls scarcity programming. Scarcity programming teaches us to compete instead of being cooperative. Compare instead of celebrate other people's successes. Protect information instead of sharing it. Hoard opportunities instead of creating them. Win alone instead of building together. Not because we're bad people, because that's how survival taught us to think, especially when you came out the hood. Clip that. Let's talk about what it looks like to have a cooperative mindset. Healing changes the conversation. A healed person understands that another person's success doesn't take anything away from their own. If you're winning, it shouldn't rob anybody else of their winning. There's enough to go around for everybody. I think God left enough air for all of us to breathe, enough water for us to drink, enough food for all of us to eat, enough houses for us to build, enough cars for us to drive. Everybody can have what they want if they want it. So you being successful doesn't take away from you maintaining your success given by giving to somebody else, the information at least. A healed person knows there is enough opportunity for everyone willing to prepare themselves. A cooperative mindset says, if you win, we all win. If you have knowledge that can help you, I'll share it. If we build together, we all build together stronger. Communities don't transform because one person succeeds. That's not how it works. It only transforms if everybody in the community contributes. Communities transform when enough people begin to lift one together. Hope this is making sense to somebody besides myself. Imagine if instead of pulling each other back into the barrel, everyone worked together to build the ladder. Clip that. Imagine if instead of pulling each other back into the barrel, everyone worked together to build a ladder, to build resources for everyone in this barrel to be able to benefit and get the hell out of it and live their truth. Imagine fathers mentoring fathers. Imagine if the fathers go back, even if it's not your son, go back and share information with young fathers. Mothers going back to share information with young mothers. Wives going back to share information with young wives. Husbands going back to share information with young husbands. Business owners supporting other business owners to succeed. artists collaborating with other artists, neighborhoods investing in their own neighborhood. That's how the neighborhood becomes a community. And that's how communities become the movement that I think we all desire to see. Here's a big question. Maybe the problem isn't crabs in a barrel. Maybe it's that nobody ever taught the crabs how to build the staircase. Because healing isn't just changing individuals, it's about changing the mindset that shapes the entire culture. And that's why we do PTHD, because we are all about changing the mindset. You really can't heal someone without their mindset buying into it. If the mindset hasn't bought into it, you're going to have a struggle. You're going to have a fight. It's kind of like trying. And I hate to use this analogy, but it's a worthy analogy. Um, if you ever seen a wounded dog and you try to take him in from a shelter and you try to feed it, it's going to snap at you, bite at you, claw at you because it doesn't trust you right away because it's been hurt so long. But the more you show it love and the more you rub its coat and give him food and water and treat him right, the walls come down and he becomes a part of your fabric and your family, so to speak, right? So you have to change the mindset in order to heal. And just because you made it out, just because you got a good job, you own properties now, you doing well in life, it doesn't mean that you shattered and shed it off the old hood mindset. Now there are symptoms you can pay attention to let you know how far you've come. But I'm not gonna put that here. That's a part of our curriculum that we teach with rewire programs. But if you want to learn more about how to figure out where you are with it, that's where you need to go to healpthd.com and sign up for one of our rewire programs or get a membership and become a part of the ecosystem here at Heal PTHD. Um, but there are things that you can pay attention to see where you are with it, because you will know if you have it or not. Listen, y'all. Today's Reset Sunday. Want to ask you this: do you celebrate other people's success or compare it to your own? Do you find yourself doing that? Do you freely share knowledge or protect it because you fear being replaced by the other person you shared the knowledge with? Are you building ladders or reinforcing barrels? You got to be honest if you really want to get to the point of this PTHD. We can't lie to ourselves. And the last one is your mindset creating cooperation or competition? You see, the strongest communities in the world aren't built on competition. They're built on trust. They're built on shared knowledge. They're built on people who understand that our success is connected. That's one thing I totally respect about the Hispanic population. They seem to get it. The wives work with their husbands. Despite the level of money they may make, their wives work with their husbands. The people work with each other. They help each other out. They put families in one house until the other one can get another house, and then they build from there. Like, that's what I'm talking about. That is the prime example of what I'm talking about. Because when one person heals, they know they can change the entire family, maybe even the course of a race. Because if all of these families come together collectively and start doing stuff together, eventually the race rises up. Because now the world will see you in a different light. But when they see you all individualized, your shields are down, your attack levels are high. Let me see what we got. Let's see what we got. Victoria, did you want to come in and have a say about this? He might just be here to talk, to watch. Okay, cool. So when neighborhoods heal, that changes the cities. And when enough people adopt cooperative mindsets, the barrel disappears. I want to say this in closing. A scarcity mindset builds barrels. A cooperative mindset builds bridges. Healing teaches us that the greatest success isn't just getting mine, it's helping create ours. Okay? I'm going to say that one more time. In closing, clip this. In closing, a scarcity mindset builds barrels. A cooperative mindset builds bridges. Healing teaches us that the greatest success isn't getting mine, it's helping create ours. Listen, y'all, I learned this some years back. There's only three people in this world, right? Three types of people in this world. There are people who make things happen, the bosses, the owner of companies. There are people who support the people who make things happen, supervisors, et cetera, et cetera. Workers in a corporation. They're helping the head leader of the corporation who created this thing to achieve the goals as to why he created it. And then there's the fans. This is the third person. The person who just loves this product or loves this team and they support it by purchasing it. There's only three types of people. Why am I telling you this? Because if you've made it out, you see, some of us get lost in looking at the leaders, the people who make things happen, and we're only fans. And in our environment, it teaches us that everybody can be the boss. Everybody's not going to be the boss, but everybody can have a job. But everybody should be able to take care of themselves. If you are the person who's made it, and you are the person who's a leader, a person who makes things happen, a boss, then you should have something within your organization that gives back to the community that you came out of, so that the people there can at least be a supporter, number one, instead of turning them into a fan only. If you don't share the knowledge that you have, the middle part is missing. You know what they say, heavy is the head that wears the crown. It's a lot that comes with knowledge. The knowledge you get is not just for you. It's for your family, immediate family first, extended family next, your community you come from, and go on from there. But you didn't get this information just for you. That's why we talk about crabs in a barrel. A lot of people get information and want to hoard the information to themselves. Now, does that mean that you can't start a business in your community to help people in your community with the information that you've learned? No, that doesn't mean that either. Because we all got to survive. I have this thing that people say, and I want you to clip this. I have this thing that people seem to think that if you do community work, you're not supposed to charge for what you do. In other words, community people who do community work is supposed to be broke. That's not real. That's not a real thing. Clip that. That's not a real thing. If you do community work, I think the community should support the person coming back to bring the work. The community supports a lot of things in the community that doesn't even serve the community. The Slauson Swap Meet has been there since the 80s. The Slauson Swap Meet ain't never gave nothing back to the community. Not a hot dog, not a fish fry, not nothing. They never gave nothing back to the community, but they're still there feeding their tribe off of our money. But people go and patronize them. So if a person is coming to bring you information that you need, that happens to look like you, the same cat in the barrel, why do you feel like he doesn't deserve or she doesn't deserve to be compensated for what they've learned, for what they're giving you? Clip that. That's a real question to me. That's a very real question to me, because I struggle with that sometimes. When you put on events and you want to help bring something to the community. I remember I had an event at Simply Wholesome in 2014. We had a culture fest at Simply Wholesome. We had the whole parking lot at Simply Wholesome. We had a stage, we had vendor booths, we had the whole thing. It was set up dope. And I remember this lady came to the door trying to get in, and all we were charging was $5. $5. This lady came to the door with her family and was like, "We ain't paying no $5 to get in here. It's supposed to be a community event." I'm like, and my people called me to the front door to go talk to her. So I talked to her. I'm like, "What's wrong, ma'am?" She's like, "I'm not paying $5." I said, "Ma'am, how do you think we put this on? It costs money for us to put this on. This is not free for us either. All we ask in the community is pay $5. You telling me you can't pay $5 the cost of a coffee to come to something that you say you want to support? That's too much to you?" And when I put it that way, she understood and she paid the money and they came in. But it's just like people expect like for you to bend over backwards and put yourself in bankruptcy to help the community, when the people in the community that they support every day, the nail salons, the chicken shacks, Louisiana chicken, Popeye's chicken, like all the places that bring nothing but death to us, they stay in business for decades. See, this crab in a barrel concept needs to go in a different direction. We can help people make it out, but when you make it out, let's bring something healthy back to the community. And the community, support them for doing that. That's probably why a lot of people don't come back, because the support is not always there. You got to support them. If they're being courageous enough to go take what they've done and bring it back to you, you got to support them. With that being said, I want to thank everybody for attending today's Reset Sunday. Hope you got something from this. If you haven't already, do me a favor. I've checked the page, the YouTube page, and I haven't seen a lot of people subscribe. I need y'all to subscribe. Like, let's build this thing up again. Support it. I'm doing this every Sunday to give information out that I've learned. Please just support me by giving a subscription to the page, to either page, Facebook page or to the YouTube page. Just subscribe and share this information with other people. We're here to help people heal PTHD. PTHD is a real thing. Post-traumatic hood disorders are a real serious thing. That's the job that I've been given, the destiny and the journey that I've been given in this lifetime, to bring it to the forefront before I leave this planet. And I'm gonna do all I can to make sure that it's well known before I leave this planet, and people in the hood all over the United States can understand what they're dealing with and how to overcome it. Share this video, share this information, share other videos that I've made of Reset Sundays with other people, but most importantly, go subscribe. All right. I appreciate y'all time when we get out of here. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see y'all next Sunday, same time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right. Peace. Bye.